I've never tried recording and posting at the same time. Let's see how much memory my computer can handle. In this session, I'm going to be talking about the Laws debut album, and it's called The Laws. And this album came out in November of 1990, and it's, kind of funny. I didn't snap to it right away. And I don't have an exact date, but this was the month that I did turn 16 whenever this came out. And There She Goes was a big song. And I'm going to go out on a limb and venture to say that the laws, why does it sound like I'm saying laws? The Laws were a one-hit wonder in the U.S., I believe, because at that time I was still listening to Top 40 radio, and that's the only song that I heard that I was familiar with. But then again, Houston radio always did and still does act a little bit different than the rest of the country. And so it's kind of really hard. And I didn't have MTV at the time, so I didn't really know what was going on outside of the Houston realm of things. And I kind of always stayed in that mind frame too. Actually, I'm not in that mind frame anymore because I really don't like Houston radio. Have I said this before? I had a radio surveyor call the house, and my husband got really excited because he thought that, it was some type of questionnaire. He's like, oh, no, you don't want to talk to me. You want to talk to my wife. And he was all excited thinking that I was going to win something big. And, but it was, what station do you listen to? What kind of music do you listen to? Whatever. And by that time, I had already discovered satellite radio. And that is all I listen to. I listen to pretty much Hair Nation, Classic Vinyl, Classic Rewind, 80s on 8, 90s on 9, I think 70s on 7, and then every once in a while my husband likes the 50s on 5. And, that's it. Houston radio. Now, if I'm in my husband's car who doesn't have the satellite, there is a classic station that has become the only classic rock station, and they really had to up their game since now that they're the one and only. But my car, satellite all the way. Anyway, going back to the Laws. So, There She Goes was in heavy rotation. It showed up in movies and a lot, and I loved that song. So, in this time, with this review, I finally got to discover, the rest of their stuff, and I thought they were really good. This is the kind of mellow out, a lot of acoustic guitar, a lot of acoustic stuff, and I don't think that there was a track that I didn't enjoy. Definite thumbs up, definite go out and buy. Unfortunately, one book that I read said that this was their only album, and they worked on it over and over again, and somewhere in this process they were kind of touted as being the next Beatles. No pressure. Anyway, you start comparing to the Beatles, and being the next big thing, and I have to check the guy's name again because it's not a name that I'm familiar with. His name is Lee Mavers. Worked reworked it, kept reworking it again. He was never really satisfied, and producers had to come in and step in and say, this is good. You want to do this. And anytime that Lee Mavers was interviewed on this, that's the biggest pile of rubbish. But that's not what he said. And subsequently, they never had another studio album again. And the book kind of left it at this was their only album, but whenever I was doing some research, there was a BBC album, and in 2007, BBC Sessions, 2006, and from what I could tell, it was the band performing for a radio, audience. So 16 years later, they did come together and do that. But other than that, this album was the only album that they had. Anyways, check it out if you feel so inclined. I love it. And I'm, kind of ranking it right up there with Ryan Adams' Heartbreakers and any other acoustic stuff I could get my hands on. Until next time.